Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Welcome to our webinar on SAP BW4HANA Roadmap to the Future of SAP Data Warehousing. First off today, you will be hearing from Rob Jerome, our VP of Innovation and Technology, and then from Tracy Sons, a manager on the Innovation and Technology team, as well as Sean Carney, a valued consultant on the team. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can submit them through the Q&A dialog box. We'll answer some at the end, and then we'll be sure to follow up directly for any questions we aren't able to get to during this webinar. With that said, I will hand this off to Rob Jerome.
Thanks, Spencer. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. Well, first and foremost, thank you everybody for joining us today. This is the next webinar in our series of we're calling the Digital Innovation series of webinars focused on advanced analytics, data warehousing, and application development, all in the space of SAP. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today, and the data warehousing environment has certainly evolved since I started working with it way back in 1999, which is a little scary. So today you're going to hear a few things. We're going to be talking about some of the new capabilities offered by SAP and BW4, but I think more importantly, what we're really trying to do today is talk to our customers about what's the path to BW4? What role does it play in the broader analytics space? And if you're a BW customer today, like the 16, 17,000 customers out there, how do you get to BW4 and when should you be moving towards it or considering a move towards it? So we're going to try to provide a little bit of guidance today to our customers. We're also going to provide a demo, and the demo is really going to be specific to what we call the new age of analytics through the SAP Analytics Cloud, sitting on top of a BW4HANA environment. So we try to give you a little bit of a peek into what's new in the analytics world. Next slide, please. So our agenda, we're going to go through a few introductions. I'm going to talk a little bit about Dickinson and Associates. If you've joined us before, you know a little bit about our firm, or perhaps you're a customer, excuse me. We're going to give an overview of SAP BW4HANA. We're going to go into our demo, and then we're going to talk about roadmap. And we put roadmap towards the end because we figured that would take everybody's attention, because that's what most folks are asking us about in the market today. And then we're going to go through some questions and answers, and I just want to reiterate that if we don't get to all the questions and answers, we'll follow up individually to make sure that we're addressing those. Next slide, please. So our team today, so I'll introduce myself, and then the rest of the team, when they speak, they'll be introducing themselves, but my name is Rob Jerome. If you know me, you know that everybody calls me RJ, so feel free to. I'm Vice President of Innovation and Technology, and what that really means is that I manage the line of business here at Dickinson specific to data warehousing, data management, analytics, and application development on the cloud. I've been in the space for about 20 years, which is a little scary. Always in the world of analytics and application development, and I was actually a BW consultant for 11 years of my 20-year SAP career. So always been around this space, and it most certainly has changed since I got into it. Next slide, please. A little bit about Dickinson. Dickinson Associates is what's known as a gold channel partner of SAP. And what does that mean? That means that we can implement SAP software. We're a reseller of SAP software, meaning we can sell you the software, and more importantly, or equally as important, is the fact that we are Partner Center of Expertise certified, so we can maintain the software just like SAP does. We are about a 150 person consulting firm, and what's our focus? Our focus really is on the SAP S4. We do traditional ERP work in ECC, BI Analytics, the SAP Cloud Platform, and the SAP Public Cloud. So I mentioned that I manage one line of business here at Dickinson. We actually have two others, one very specific to SAP ERP in today's world, that's S4HANA, and the third is the SAP S4 Public Cloud, which is a cloud-based ERP solution that we're actually a lighthouse partner for, meaning Dickinson Associates runs that software. So like I said, we have about 150 full-time consultants, and where are we located? Throughout the United States, basically. Chicago is our headquarters, right downtown. New York, Scottsdale, Cincinnati, Dallas, and where I live in Annapolis, Maryland. Our tagline, which is very important, is business people who know SAP. And what's interesting is that's not something that we developed. That was actually something that came up from one of our customers who suggested we use it as a tagline because our consulting team typically has about 15 to 20 years of industry experience, which sets us apart. So business people first, SAP consultants second. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to turn it over here to Tracy Sons, and we're going to go right into our webinar.
Thank you, Rob. And hello, everyone. Again, my name is Tracy Sons, and I'm a manager in the Innovations and Technology Group at Dickinson Associates. And I've been working with SAP BW since version 1.2b. I must say that I'm very excited about SAP's latest BW product, BW4HANA. Next slide. SAP released BW4HANA at the end of 2016. It's SAP's modernized data warehousing solution, a packaged end-to-end data warehousing solution that's been completely redesigned to run on SAP HANA. Similar to the SAP Business Suite redesign that eliminated so many objects like totals tables and aggregates, BW4HANA also went through a redesign to optimize it to run on HANA. As a result, many objects were removed, and we'll discuss those objects in a modeling section that's coming up. Over 5 million lines of code were deleted. Now think about that. That shows serious commitment to optimizing the product. Some core functionality from previous releases is still maintained. A good example of that is the object transport functionality, which is carried over, but a lot of unneeded objects have been removed. SAP is quick to point out that BW4HANA is not the legal successor to previous BW releases like BW 7.5 powered by HANA. This is a brand new product. It's only the logical successor to previous releases. BW4HANA is on its own maintenance schedule, independent of the NetWeaver releases. Previous BW releases are now in maintenance status, so BW4HANA is getting all the new feature additions. As a matter of fact, Feature Pack 8 was released just this week, so SAP is continually adding features regularly. Next slide. With BW4HANA, SAP is addressing many of the challenges of modern-day data warehousing, recognizing there are new challenges created in this digitalized big data environment. There are challenges with data in ever-increasing volumes, data of varying types and dispersed in different locations, and there are challenges to meet the user demands for better performance and modernized use cases. Next slide, please. So SAP is responding to those data warehousing challenges with BW4HANA, their new modernized data warehousing solution. And they've used these 4 design principles we see here as a guide: simplicity, openness, a modern interface, and performance. Let's take a look at some of the new features of the release by these design principles, and let's start with simplicity. Next slide, please. SAP has dramatically reduced the number of modeling objects from 10 to 4. Now, BW developers aren't losing any capabilities with this simplification. You can satisfy all development requirements with the 4 objects. Simplicity is also seen in the data models. The idea is that data models themselves will become leaner and more flexible overall, with less persistency and more virtual modeling. This reduces development time significantly and helps you achieve faster time to value. Data tiering optimization. That's the BW4HANA data lifecycle management tool. In BW4HANA, there's a tighter integration with this temperature management system of archiving. It leverages HANA memory and disk to store hot and warm data, as well as SAP IQ for a more cost-effective approach for storing your seldom used cold type data. The idea is to design your archiving strategy from the beginning of your development cycle. You could set up partitioning objects and assign temperatures for the data during the initial development. So that approach reduces future design efforts and ensures your data models start out with an archiving strategy in place from the very beginning. Next slide, please. The next design principle is openness. Openness means making BW4HANA data more open for consumers, as well as integrating data from more sources into BW4HANA. In BW4HANA, it's very easy to automatically expose data to native HANA. Native HANA calculation views can be automatically generated from BW4HANA objects. This is significant in terms of openness because you can then access any of those HANA views with SQL-based front-end tools. In BW4HANA, you can load data in real time using HANA Smart Data Integration. Alternatively, you can use the ODP component with SLT, for example, to load data from another SAP system in real time. Data can be distributed out of BW4HANA using the ODP framework as well. Delta feeds are possible due to an operational Delta queue, so you have much more flexibility in terms of getting data out of BW than in previous releases. And it's consistent and scalable based on the OData protocol. This gives you an easy way to send data to a cloud-based application, for example. And last but not least, there's a new big data source system type. It provides native integration with data lakes like Hadoop and Spark. So the takeaway here is that SAP has made real strides in making the BW4HANA release much more open overall. Next slide, please. SAP has modernized the interfaces in BW4HANA. That includes interfaces for business users, developers, and administrators. Now, Sean is going to tell us more about the front-end options. I don't want to steal his thunder here, but let me just say for the business users, BEX is no longer supported. It's important to note that the BEX queries themselves can be converted to what are called BW queries now. So there's a conversion and a name change there. So that query functionality will remain. It can be accessed in the HANA Studio. But the BEX applications themselves are no longer supported. Keep in mind all your investment in the BEX query is preserved, and those queries can be leveraged going forward with a modernized interface. There's also a new data flow modeler. You see a graphic of that interface on the right. It's Eclipse-based and has kind of a whiteboard look and feel, somewhat like the old process chain modeling screen, but much more modernized. The main message here is ease of use. It's much easier to design data flows and create data flows overall. Lastly, there's a new interface for administrators as well. It was developed in UI5 and it's based on Fiori, so it has that tile look and feel. It offers web access, which is a nice addition. So it provides easy access for administrators when they are away from the office to make the task of process chain administration, for example, much simpler. Next slide, please. The final design principle is HighPerformance. The HANA platform and the in-memory processing removes the need for redundant data stored in performance-specific objects like aggregates and indexes. In BW4HANA, SAP took advantage of the opportunity to remove those unnecessary objects and the roll-up steps. They re-engineered the product overall to run on HANA and provided only modeling objects optimized to run on HANA. The result is faster data loading and data processing. SAP has continued to push down algorithms to the HANA database. Most computations are removed from the OLAP and are now done in the HANA database. And BW4HANA leverages all engines and libraries, algorithms, and functionalities of native HANA, which helps improve the overall performance. Next slide, please. Now let's take a look at modeling in BW4HANA. And let me talk about some of the new modeling approaches in this solution. I spoke earlier of simplification of data structures from 10 modeling objects to 4. You can see those objects in this graphic. What you see is basically a before and after view, with classic BW on the left and BW4HANA on the right. Virtual modeling objects are on the top in the light blue, and persistent modeling objects are on the bottom in the dark blue. The 5 virtual objects we're accustomed to in classic BW have been replaced by the 2 HANA optimized objects that you see on the right, the composite provider and the open ODS view. The 5 persistent modeling objects are similar. The 5 objects we're accustomed to have been replaced by 2 HANA optimized objects you see on the right, the advanced data store object and the info object, which is a carryover we're all familiar with. So the 4 remaining objects on the right are HANA optimized. They are the BW4HANA compliant objects, which is important when it comes to migration. Before you can do the final conversion of your BW system to a BW4HANA system, all of your modeling objects must be converted to BW4HANA compliant objects. So during your conversion project, you would convert all the objects on the left to one of the objects on the right. And SAP assists you with that. We'll cover that soon. Next slide, please. You might be familiar with the LSA reference architecture used in previous BW releases to guide us in modeling. In this graphic, you see a rendering of an LSA example model. This example model would likely combine several layers of DSOs to stage and integrate raw data, and then combine an InfoCube layer to bring together transaction and master data in a star schema, and likely summarize the data as well, and finally a multi-provider for virtualization, where reporting would almost always take place. This is a simple example of a classic BW model in LSA. Often in BW, we could see models much more complex than this one. In some cases, they start to look like a spider web. There are so many layers. That occurred in large part as a result of the hurdles of the old technology. HANA in-memory processing and now the re-engineering of BW4HANA have removed those technological barriers that were partly to blame for the complex data models. Next slide, please. Now let's look at the graphic of an example model using the LSA++ reference architecture in BW4HANA. Modeling in general has always been driven by the reporting requirement, right? So it's going to vary, but the overall theme is, with the re-engineered BW4HANA, the simplification of modeling objects, and the HANA platform, you have the capability to model with much less persistency of data and far more virtual models. You have the capability to model with far lesser data redundancy and to build queries at the detailed staging layer. You're no longer forced to create performance objects. And by this, I mean those objects that were built solely for summarizing data for performance reasons. So modeling in BW4HANA has been simplified, making the data models leaner and development time shorter. So now, Sean, if you're ready, please tell us about the reporting options in BW4HANA.
Sure. Thanks, Tracy, and thank you all for joining today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sean Carney, and I am a BI consultant with Dickinson and Associates. Prior to Dickinson, I was a consultant at Accenture, where I worked in travel, oil and gas, and defense industries. So I'm really happy for you guys to be joining today. So thanks again, Tracy, for that useful information on BW4HANA modeling. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper about the front-end capabilities of BW4HANA, which I'm really excited about. So one key important note is that BEX Analyzer will no longer be supported, as Tracy mentioned early in the presentation. However, your existing BEX queries are still going to be utilized. Now, as a reminder, BEX Query Designer is still available in BW modeling tools in HANA Studio or Eclipse as a plugin. Therefore, your BEX queries will still be available in the new Query Designer as BW queries. Within the Query Designer, BEX features such as columns, rows, and free characteristics that we're all familiar with will be available. However, for your future analytics roadmap, SAP has strongly recommended to consider business objects. SAP has offered the capability for BEX workbooks to be converted to analysis for workbooks. Furthermore, majority of the BEX web application features will be available in Design Studio and Lumira 2.0. Lastly, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about SAP's newest front-end technologies. So SAP has come out and said they're strongly more focused on investing and innovating new features in the cloud-based technologies such as Digital Boardroom and the Analytics Cloud, as compared to investing and innovating in other front-end tools such as Lumira Discovery. So the Digital Boardroom is built on the Analytics Cloud and allows executives to have an interactive analytical experience with large touchscreens in a presentation format. Now, the Analytics Cloud is a cloud-based tool that allows end users to quickly and intuitively build stories based on the data model. One of the great things about connecting the Analytics Cloud to BW4HANA is that you have the capability of a live data connection which I'll go more into in the next slide. All right, so SAP Analytics Cloud Live Connection. So I wanted to give you a little bit more information on the SAP Analytics Cloud when it comes to connecting to BW4HANA. One of the main features is a live connection, which you can see on the infographic on the slide. So the benefit of a live connection is the capability of real-time view of data. There's no need to recreate or duplicate a data model. So I want to make it clear that BW4HANA and Analytics Cloud are not just limited to live connections. A normal direct connection from the SAP Analytics Cloud to BW4HANA is also available. One way to create a live connection between the Analytics Cloud and BW4HANA is to reverse proxy. Another way to create a live connection is through a CORS connection. So a little bit more on the reverse proxy. The reverse proxy acts as a single entry point between the Analytics Cloud and BW4HANA, meaning that one single URL will be used to access the Analytics Cloud. So the BW4HANA system will be available on the reverse proxy under one path. All requests to this path are redirected from the proxy to the BW4HANA system. So the main benefit with a reverse proxy as compared to the CORS connection is that there's a lack of a need of SSL and CA certificates. It's important to make sure to activate INA in BW4HANA, which allows the ability to query tables and views as much as how you would search for information on the internet. Now what I'm going to do is give you a sneak peek of one of the future SAP reporting options for BW4HANA, SAP Analytics Cloud. I'm going to pull up the demo here. Okay, so here you can see this is my home page. Loading. All right, so here we are, the home page. What I'm going to show you really quick is the connection type that we've created here. Click on connection. So here you can see our BW2 Live, which is our BW4HANA connection. In order to create that, we'd go here. Live data connection, you can see BW. So I'll show you since this is already created. Click on the live data connection. And you can see here, the reverse proxy has been set up. And then for your credentials, you can put in your BW HANA credentials. Okay. So that's how you do the connection. And then when you actually go here and create model, you can say use data source. You can say live data connection. And then you can create a connection based on the BW4HANA system. And you can see how your data sources here are immediately available. Now what I'm going to do is actually show you a story that I'm going to be pulling up right here. So as this loads, I just want to make it clear that I'm showing you the end result of loading real-time transactional data to BW4HANA from S4HANA. And so this is the real-time connection from BW4HANA to the SAP Analytics Cloud. So you can see here, might be a little cut off, but sales by product line, sales trend, margin per product group. And you can see here the different types of graphs. And so this is a store that sells both food and drink. And you can see how interactive it is. For example, if I click on food, the data dynamically changes, and then you can also hover over and see more information. So you can clearly see here food is outperforming drink. And you can see here different margins. And if I click here, for example, again, everything else will dynamically update. I'll show you also really quick the tree map. So this is grouping the products sold by region. At a glance here, you can see how there's these different regions, central, southern, northeast, western, and you can see what product is being sold the most. And you can see that in every group except southern, produce is number one. If you click here on produce, you can scroll down, you can see a little bit more information. So you notice here with produce and how throughout all the months, April sells really well. Even the previous year sold pretty well relative to the other months, but something must be going on. Why is only April doing well? Also, I'll show you this trends here. So again, you can also see this trend analysis. So here we have sales and margin. So you click here on all. You can see here sales relatively to margin. You can see how margin is kind of stable, consistent, and then you can see here how your sales is a lot more volatile. Here, looking at this, what's going on in Q4, why is there a huge drop? And again, you can click here and have the data change right away. What I'll also show you is another great feature is the geomap. So here we're looking at the different beverages sold. So I'll just look at alcohol and soft drinks. So you can see here at a glance that alcohol sales, soft drink sales. You can also see the quantity sold as well. And then here you can see how the clusters are made up. You can see how alcohol and soft drinks are labeled. And then when you go here, actually zoom in a little bit, you can see like your clusters of sales. So you can see, why is one region doing better than the other. Of course, there's a legend here that you can also look at. And then also what I'll show you is the mobile version. So this is something that you would see on your phone or tablet. And so I can, of course, example, if you wanted to see data for a certain store, you just click here. And you can see this real-time information. So just to summarize, look how easy it is to intuitively click on your certain fields, and you can get all this information in real time through the power of BW4HANA and the Analytics Cloud. So thank you all for listening. I'm going to kick it back to Tracy, who's going to give you a little bit more information on the BW4HANA conversion path.
Thank you, Sean. Get the slide deck back up. All right. So what are the different paths to BW4HANA? SAP provides two separate paths, a new installation or a greenfield path, and a BW system conversion path. The new installation approach applies for both new customers as well as existing BW customers who just want a fresh start. It gives existing customers an opportunity to rebuild their BW system, keeping the good and eliminating the bad in their system. You can re-engineer your data models, follow modern modeling approaches, and only load the data that is still relevant for your organization. For the BW system conversion approach, SAP provides two conversion options and a tool to assist you. SAP recommends, regardless of the conversion option that you choose, to convert your data models in logical chunks. They do not recommend that you do a big bang approach where you convert your entire development system, for example, in one large project. The first option is an in-place conversion option. It utilizes your current landscape and utilizes SAP-provided transfer tools to convert your BW system to a BW4HANA system. The overall conversion effort will vary according to the number of objects that you have to convert. It's important to note that the in-place conversion option has a prerequisite. You have to be on release 7.5, powered by HANA and support pack 5 or higher. So depending on your release and support pack, some customers might need to do an upgrade and database migration project before beginning conversion. Alternatively, for those customers who would like to avoid all the effort in their current landscape or would like to avoid an upgrade and migration project altogether, there is a remote conversion option. It uses transfer tools to transfer relevant objects to a new and separate BW4HANA landscape. You stand up this new landscape solely for building out your new BW4HANA system. Next slide, please. Here we see a high-level overview of the steps required for the two BW4HANA conversion options, in place and remote. You can see the steps are similar for the two options. Let me point out a few differences, though. How you begin your conversion project differs between the two options. For the in-place conversion, you may very well be executing on an upgrade and database migration project like we just talked about. If you are in fact on the compliant release and support pack level, then you skip that step altogether and you begin the conversion preparation, installing the BW4HANA starter add-on. The first step for the remote conversion option is to stand up your BW4HANA conversion environment. All the hardware and software steps that go along with standing up any new environment apply here. So that's a significant piece of work unique to the remote conversion option. In both options, you use a transfer tool to transfer in-scope data models and their data. The last few high-level steps for both options are similar. So let's take a look at the detailed level conversion steps and recognize the differences. Next slide, please. Okay, so here on the right, we see the SAP graphic that shows us the detailed transfer steps for the in-place conversion. Starting with scope selection, you're choosing logical chunks of development to convert and staying away from that big bang approach like we talked about. There's a possibility that some custom ABAP code that was written for classic BW objects will need to be updated after conversion. That will vary by customer, but you'll need to address that code individually. The newly released Feature Pack 8 provides a code scan tool to help identify this code as a preparation step. The next step is to use SAP-provided transfer tools to convert classic modeling objects to HANA optimized objects. The transfer tool also converts the data, so there's no extra data load steps. You do have an opportunity here to update your technical names and descriptions of the new data targets. That's important, especially if your naming conventions included intelligence for info cubes or info sets, for example. If a technical name ends in ISET01, you may want to rename that because info sets are all going away, right? I would advise spending a little time here to revisit your naming conventions, your naming standards. This conversion project gives you an opportunity to adopt standards. If you haven't been vigilant in the past about naming standards, you can fix that now to a certain extent. So these steps get repeated in the development system until all the classic modeling objects, all your data models are converted to HANA optimized objects. You can then convert the development system over to a BW4HANA system. Your conversion changes all get captured in a transport. You transport the converted objects up to an existing landscape, and then you convert those systems into BW4HANA systems. At that point, your entire landscape is on a BW4HANA release. Next slide. Now let's look at the detailed transfer steps for the remote conversion option. Step one, again, is scope selection. Remember, logical chunks. You use the transfer tool here as well, this time to transport your in-scope objects to the newly set up BW4HANA development system. Now this is a key difference. You aren't making any changes in your original system, in your original landscape. You're only transporting the changes to the new conversion landscape. During the import, objects are automatically converted to HANA optimized objects. and the transfer tool automatically transfers the data as well. Again, there's an opportunity to update the technical names and descriptions of the HANA optimized objects, same as before. You transport the converted objects up the BW4HANA landscape, and the transfer of data into the converted objects is carried out by the transfer tool in every system. You repeat these steps until all your in-scope objects have been transported throughout your new BW4HANA environment. Both of these conversion options are supported by SAP. The decision is up to the customer as to which option best fits their situation. Please keep in mind a possible additional step to address any BEX workbooks. The conversion tool will copy over the existing BEX queries to the new data targets, and they become BW queries. The BEX workbooks, however, will not get converted because they are no longer supported. If you decide you would like to migrate the BEX workbooks to analysis for Office, for example, there's a process for that SAP provides, but that's an additional effort. The converted BW queries can still be used as sources for business object reports, but any reports to replace BEX queries, or BEX workbooks rather, will need to be developed. Next slide, please. If you find yourself on the BW software roadmap shown in this graphic, you might be wondering what are the next steps or considerations. These are some of the questions you might be asking. What is our data warehousing and analytics long-term strategy? And how does that SAP product availability matrix impact those strategies? What would make more sense for our organization, a greenfield implementation or a BW4HANA conversion? And what conversion option is best for us? So now I'm going to turn the presentation over to Jerome again to talk about how Dickinson and Associates can help you.
Thanks, Tracy. I appreciate that. And Sean and Tracy, good job. A few things. So how can Dickinson and Associates help you in your analytics roadmap in general, and specifically the BW4? So what we like to do with our customers first is help them establish what their analytics roadmap should be. So if you're a BW customer, we look at things like the version that you're on, what content you have deployed, what your sources of data are, what your front-end application is. Perhaps it's still BW BEX, perhaps it's business objects, and we basically take a snapshot of where you are today, and then we work through a roadmap as to how to get through BW4 or other analytics applications. So the first thing that we always do is establish the roadmap, timing, budget associated with typically what becomes an upgrade project. From an implementation perspective, we can cover both the back end, meaning the data warehousing component that Tracy talked about today, and the front-end component that Sean talked about today, because we see this as three ways. If we three components, if we break this down very simply, in any analytics or data warehousing environment. How do you get the data? Some of those methods has changed. We didn't really cover that today, but how do you get the data? Where do you put the data, and how do you model it, i.e. BW4? And how do you report on it? Perhaps business objects, perhaps the analytics cloud. And finally, we can support you post-go live. So our strategy is to help you with your roadmap, implement the software, upgrade the software with you, and then through our application manager support group, support you post-go live. So that's how Dickinson can help. We're excited to talk to some potential new customers about the way we've helped some other customers do their upgrades. And I think that's a good overview. Spencer?
Yeah, thank you guys. Looks like we have a few questions we can move to. So the first question I have is there a direct upgrade path from BW 7.x to BW4HANA? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Sean. Okay. This is an area of confusion, I think. I covered this, but it's somewhat confusing, so let me clarify. Yes, there is a path to BW4HANA, but keep in mind you aren't upgrading because BW4HANA is not the legal successor to 7.5 like we talked about. It's a separate product altogether. SAP does provide a conversion path with the conversion options that we discussed and the tools to support. So there is a direct path, but it's not an upgrade. It's a conversion. Okay?
Okay, great. Now, the next question is, in what cases should I consider a traditional BW front end versus SAP Analytics Cloud? And do we retain our BW system or shift to SAP Analytics Cloud?
Well, I'm going to let you do that, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Tracy, I can take that. So this is a great question. It comes up a lot, and a lot of our customers have had the same exact question. And it honestly comes down to reporting needs, right? For example, if you're using Excel reporting, you're probably going to need analysis for Office. And BW isn't going away as we know it. And again, BW is more of an ad hoc reporting tool set, right? You're going to be exporting a lot of the data from BW, right? However, you know, SAP Analytics Cloud, as you saw during the demo, it's more of an interactive tool that you're not going to be exporting. It's more of you're going to be viewing. So I hope that clarifies the question.
I think I can add to that too, Sean. So just a few more comments. In the market, we do see a shift towards the cloud, and we want to be upfront about that, and that we do see a shift towards cloud-based, at least analytics front-end solutions, and that's the way the market has been heading for quite some time. If you're a business objects customer, traditional business objects, on-premise business objects, you can use those applications directly with BW4. So you're not going to lose on your investment, and we want to be clear about that. From an analytics cloud perspective, from agile visualization, I'd say interactive reporting and things of that nature, we are encouraging our customers to consider moving to that. So this goes back to roadmap. There perhaps could be a period of time where a customer uses traditional business objects to a certain extent and introduces the analytics cloud for certain use cases. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. And I want to be clear about that because I think customers do have options.
Thanks, RJ. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so the next question is, what happens to the old objects after conversion? Are they still there in case you need them?
I'll take that with Sean. And short answer is no. They aren't still there. So kind of a two-part answer. With the remote conversion option, the old objects, they never make it into the new landscape, so they were kind of never there. They get converted to optimize objects upon import. So like I said, they don't make it into your new BW4HANA landscape. With the in-place conversion, an after import step of the transport deletes those old objects, and you're left with just a converted object. So they're gone in that case too. So the good thing is there's no need for a cleanup project or anything like that to go back and purge the old objects, but they are gone. So that, you know, testing comes into play here before you convert, because once they're converted, they're converted. Okay.
Okay. And the next question is, what exactly is going to happen to my existing VEX queries? Are they obsolete now?
Yeah, so Tracy, let me take this one.
Yeah.
Again, this comes up a lot with a lot of the customers, and short answer is no, they're definitely not obsolete. Your VEX queries can get converted over to optimized objects and are going to be called BW queries in BW4HANA. And you can access these BW queries in HANA Studio or Eclipse, depending on within the new query designer within BW modeling tools. And all the functionality that you're used to having in VEX Query Designer will be available. So I hope that clears it up. Just to be clear that they're not going to go away. Don't worry about that.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering those questions. It looks like there are still a few more questions coming in, but we're going to go ahead and give the rest of you a few minutes back in your schedule here. And then for the additional questions we did not get to, we will be following up directly to provide you those answers. So we do also plan to have a recording of this posted online, and you'll receive those details via email. So we hope you all enjoyed this webinar and enjoy the remainder of your day. So thank you again, Tracy, RJ, and Sean. Appreciate it.